Is your iPhone spying on you? So this week, Apple has agreed to pay $95 million to settle lawsuits that claim its voice assistant Siri has been eavesdropping on users. And now Apple owners could be getting a payout. Our chief business correspondent Taylor Young joining us here in the studio to talk about this. And this lawsuit doesn't just accuse Apple of eavesdropping. There's actually more, Taylor.
Yeah, it's also about where this information is allegedly going. So an example of this in the lawsuit is two people having a private conversation, maybe next to an iPhone, and they're talking potentially about a product or a specific brand, and then the next thing they know, on their social media or web browsers, they're seeing advertisements for this exact product. And I think over the last couple of years, iPhone users have really theorized that their iPhones have been listening to them, and this lawsuit claims that it has been. So, in this lawsuit, it claims that for over a decade, Apple has been secretly activating Siri to record private conversations. It also accuses the company of then sharing the content of those conversations with advertisers in an attempt to sell their products. And some may be wondering, don't I have to give Siri a prompt in order for it to work? Well, the lawsuit says these recordings happened even if users did not trigger their device by saying, "Hey Siri." Now, while Apple has agreed to settle, the company has reportedly denied any wrongdoing. I do think it's important to note that this case still needs to be approved by a federal judge.
All right, so if it is approved, how do you know if you're eligible for some money?
Yeah, so first of all, it is estimated that millions of Americans could be potentially have a pot of some of this money. And it's not just iPhone users. So the settlement would apply to anyone in the U.S. who owned or purchased a Siri-enabled Apple device between September of 2014 to December 31st of 2024, so this last Friday. Those devices include a long list of Apple products, including the iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, MacBook, iMac, HomePod, iPod Touch, and Apple TV. So really everything across the board owned by Apple. And as for the settlement money, if approved, Apple product owners could get paid up to $20 per device with a limit of 5 devices. So really the reality here is the biggest payout that we could be seeing is $100. And that could also be lower in the long term if more people apply to be part of this lawsuit.
Yeah, because most people, you have an iPhone, you have an iPad, you have so many things that Apple, just as you said. But now what's the criteria that people need to be able to know? They're listening to this going, you know what, I might be part of this settlement. What do I need to know?
So because it would, in theory, be very difficult to have concrete evidence of this, all you really have to do is just swear under oath that Siri was accidentally activated or randomly activated while you were having a private conversation. So if you're someone who might be out there thinking, this potentially happened to me, all you have to do is swear under oath that it did.
So could this be happening more often than we actually think, though, Taylor? Because, Siri, I have so many devices, at home that you can be able to pick up on conversations.
Yeah, and Apple is not the only company that has received a complaint like this. There was a similar lawsuit filed against Google for its voice assistant. So that case is still pending right now. And also, Amazon has also paid millions of dollars over claims its Ring and Alexa have invaded users' privacy. So yeah, companies are kind of facing some consequences in some class action lawsuits. And I think it's safe to say that, maybe think about what you're saying in front of your phone, which is crazy to think because we all carry our phones with us everywhere. But yeah, a lot of companies are kind of facing some backlash for this right now.
And you bring up an interesting point because, too, it's also not only when you think about Siri, but Alexa in your home. That's a little harder because you have so many conversations, you have people who come over and things like that, but you have to be aware. Maybe you have some in-house rules now to be able to know, hey, people are always listening.
And we live in an age where nearly every device has a virtual assistant.
Yes,
so
and we use
everywhere.
We use
do.
it. Yeah. All right, Taylor Young, thank you so much for your reporting there.